Hey everyone, it's Comic Quarter 410 with my entry for DrVonChilla's anniversary giveaway contest. And the first thing that I want to do is say thanks to John for being generous enough to do this giveaway for his subscribers. We all appreciate it. And if by some strange chance you're not already subbed to DrVonChilla, there will be a link down below in the description. Do yourself a favor and go give him a sub. He has a great channel and a great collection and a ton of knowledge to share with us. And I think I speak for everybody, John, when I say I'm glad you finally decided to start making videos, because I learn a lot from your channel, and I think you're an awesome dude, buddy. I'll do my best to try and keep this to 5 minutes or less, but I can't promise anything because, as you know, I like to blabber a little bit. But what got started me in comics was, as a kid in the 80s, around 4 or 5 years old, I discovered two cartoons that started my lifelong affinity for comic books and comic book heroes. One of them was Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. Fantastic animated series. They involved comic creators, so they had great stories and great animation. It was done by Marvel Sunbow Productions, who did some of the greatest cartoons of the 80s. And it was just awesome, and to this day, Spidey's probably my favorite character. And the one that started it all for me was Super Friends. Great cartoon, and I used to get up early every Saturday morning to watch this. And when I was 4 years old, I liked this cartoon so much that I was at a yard sale and my mom saw 3 comic books, one of them being this copy of Super Friends number 7, first appearance of the Wonder Twins, and she was nice enough to buy them for me. And I had her read these books to me over and over till I basically learned how to read from these comics and from Dr. Seuss's Go Dog Go, oddly enough. But couple years ago, I was lucky enough to meet Ramona Fradon and got her to sign this copy. And I told her the story behind it, how her book helped me learn to read by the time I was in kindergarten. So that was a really cool experience. And as you can see by how rough this copy is, this is the second book from that yard sale. These are the first 3 comics I ever owned. Superman 293. And as a kid, I couldn't understand, why won't Superman give him the water? I had to know. I had to see what was inside this book. And the last one, this cover, I thought was really eye-catching even back then, and it still is. Beautiful cover by Ed Hannigan. Amazing Spider-Man 168. This copy's really rough, but cover still looks good. And I believe this is the second appearance of Will-O-the-Wisp, actually. So that's what got me started, and I'm happy to still own those books as rough as they are. 5 books that I'll never get rid of. It's hard to narrow it down for me because I have books that friends gave me as gifts, that friends traded to me, that friends took and took my books and got signed for me, and they have a personal value to me that means more than money. But 5 books I can say I'll never get rid of. This is my favorite EC comic that I own, and probably my favorite EC cover ever done. Weird Science Fantasy 29 has this incredible Frank Frazetta cover, and there's a story behind that, but I'll save it for another day when I have more time. But I'm very happy to have that and love Frank Frazetta's work. Also, we'll probably never get rid of this. This is my Hulk 181. Sent it to CGC many years ago, 10, 12 years ago. Came back 9.2 with off-white to white pages. Very happy to have this book. Probably could not afford another copy in this grade right now. Certainly couldn't justify paying for it, but I've always liked Wolverine, and many of you will remember there was a time in the late 80s, early 90s when Wolverine was as hot as any character in comics. He was being used kind of like they're using Deadpool now. He's just popping up with cameos in all the other Marvel titles. And when Jim Lee started drawing him in Punisher War Journal and X-Men, it put it over the top for me. So I'm very happy to have that book. The other ones that I have a bit of an attachment to and I'll never get rid of are my commission sketch covers, because they're truly one of a kind. Even if I was lucky enough to find another Herb Trimpe sketch, it wouldn't be the same one I got when I met him. And they're all done by hand, so they're all slightly different. I was lucky enough to get the late great Herb Trimpe to do this sketch of the original Wolverine on an Origin 2 blank. That book means a lot to me, and I'm happy to have it. I'll never get rid of it. Another one of my favorite artists, I was lucky enough to meet Steve Rude twice, and I commissioned a Captain America piece on a blank cover, and when I got it back, I was shocked at how much work he put in on it. He went overboard and did this lovely Kirby-esque Captain America. I've always liked his artistic studies he does on Jack Kirby, and I'm glad he Kirby'd out Cap's face on this. Really went overboard and did a ton of work on that, and I was so happy when I got this. Last but not least, one of my friends that I knew in high school, Buzz Hassan, we both collected comics even back then, and he went to school for Monster Effects, then became a tattoo artist, then started drawing comics. He's always been an artist, and now him and his friend Ken Hazer are published by Dynamite. They do Living Corpse and Grumpy Cat, and I've commissioned quite a few covers from him, and he's nice enough to put up with my, meticulous requests, which I'm sure a lot of artists don't like you telling them down to the detail what to do, but it's hard to pick out my favorites that they've done, but this is certainly one of them. Buzz and Ken did this beautiful Howard the Duck wraparound of Howard and Man-Thing, and Buzz penciled and inked this, and Ken colored it, and it's gorgeous. It's one of my favorites that they've done for me. Very, very happy with that. And then two quick honorable mentions as I'm over 5 minutes. As I mentioned, Super Friends was what got me started, and I commissioned Buzz and Ken to do 2 wraparounds, and I had them put Gleek and Apache Chief in here so it would be apparent that this is the Super Friends lineup. They did a fantastic job. I like the layout, the way Flash is using the Speed Force behind everyone. They really put in a lot of work on these, and really, really like them. And even more so, actually, than that Super Friends cover, I love the way this one turned out. To go with that one, I had them do the Legion of Doom for me, and they really knocked it out of the park. This is another one of my favorite covers that they've done for me. Great, great, great lineup of villains there, and they really nailed it. But I'm very happy that they put the time and effort into the commissions I request, and they usually give me a little break too. So really awesome guys, and these books mean a lot to me. And John, sorry I went over 5 minutes. I kind of knew I would, but I hope you don't mind. Anyway, thank you to John. Go check out his channel. Thank you to everyone else that takes the time to stop by. I always appreciate it. Take care of yourselves and enjoy your comics.